All right, Coach, we are live. Just for the record, the one we just added is so we're live on Facebook. We're on Facebook page, Facebook group members, and YouTube. How's everyone doing, Coach? How was your New Year's?
It was great. Great.
Awesome. So we got some
How
cool
was yours?
topics. It was good, man. It was. I don't really stay. I mean, I don't really stay up that late for them anymore. We did see the ball drop, but it was like we just happened to be up that late. So we've got a bunch of cool topics, not the least of which, though, I do want to kind of jump right into because one of our athletes and your children is going to be featured on Good Morning America today at 1 p.m. Eastern. So how do you? That's got to be a big moment for you as a coach, as a father. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, we are uh, we've done a couple interviews with Good Morning America. We've done some phone interviews, video interviews, and they've kind of taken uh, some video and of Amina and some of our athletes in the gym. Uh, so today it's supposed to be airing, pending any other global distractions. There's been a lot of other stuff in the news. We're actually supposed to have her on a few months ago. So yeah, we don't know exactly what we're going to see, but we're real excited, very proud of her, very proud of her teammates, and the whole kids curriculum that we put together. She's a she's a happens to be a representative for the success that we have at Metro Jiu Jitsu, and part of the big deal is Amin is actually the first hijabi girl to wear a hijab uh, that's ever won a world title. So
Can you,
before a few years back,
Coach? Can we go? I'm gonna play dumb a little bit because I know like we're getting more awareness that we're reaching like a farther like in Metro Detroit. Okay, we have a large Arab population, and so like when you say hijabi, I know what you're talking about. The local people know. I mean, Dearborn is still, to my knowledge, what the number one like highest Arab American population per capita or something in the nation. Is that still the case?
I believe so. It's pretty condensed. Dearborn, the Metro Detroit, southeastern Michigan. Yeah.
So can you just explain like what is a hijabi? What's a hijab? What's the significance of it? And how does it how does it affect one's ability to grapple and do jujitsu? And two, why why was there a ban on them up until 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, so a hijab is the covering of the hair. That's essentially what it is. So girls wear hijab to protect their chastity. Uh, so um, so they're not so they don't have their whole bodies out there for the entire world to see. Essentially, so it's meant.
It's a gesture of modesty, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. So she wears a hijab. So she decided at last year to start wearing it. She kind of put it on and off, and she was ready. So she went. She's wearing it full time now. So when she wears it, it's always on when she's out in public. And so it's got a double layer. It's got a thin piece that kind of keeps your hair really tight, and it's got a bigger piece which is kind of long, and it gives a little bit of design and uh, um, personality to the hijab. So it's not just like
Oh,
a
even I
do
didn't
rag on
realize
your head.
that. I didn't realize. So I didn't realize that then. So there's the functional one that keeps it tight. I always wondered how like yeah, because their hair is tight, and I always wondered how the one piece held it down. I didn't realize there was
Yeah,
two pieces to it. All right, continue. Sorry.
yeah. And then as an athlete, usually for years the girls would wear pins. So now they have to get really creative. They experimented with magnets and things like that to keep it from slipping and sliding. And even on a normal day, like a baseball hat, you have to adjust it and move it around. So as an athlete, when somebody puts pressure on your head or grabs your collar, if the hijab is if the hijab happens to be here and it gets pushed down, she has to adjust it. And as soon as her hands go up like this, you got a big underhook right there waiting for somebody to get a position on you. So it was for her, it was a really big deal because she had to come a lot of physical and technical adversity and challenges in order to compete, let alone and then not let that not let those little spaces that she has to give multiple times throughout the mat, uh, which lead to her losing the match or losing a position. And as far as where it started from, so I believe there was a hijab ban in 2000. The hijab ban was lifted, I believe, in 2014. So up until then, there's actually a Brazilian lady that was training some athletes, and she was one of the people who really fought to have this lifted because she worked with some hijabi girls in Brazil, and she was the one who kind of started it all. And so it was lifted then. We don't really know why or where it came from. Like we don't really understand, have a clear understanding of like why you were not allowed to compete with a hijab. But anyway, it was fought and they lifted the ban. And since then, um, I we investigated and we did some research, and since then, IBJJF Kids Pans, she's the first hijabi to ever win a world title.
So that's, I mean, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah, you're muted.
As I go from slide to
Muted.
slide, some are muted, some are. So I'm just gonna give you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain my current situation here. Just I
Yeah.
feel like the audience should know. So we have
Okay.
we have. I'm in my office and I've got one door here, and
Yeah.
it's a hollow core door to begin with, so noise travels. And then on the other, I have another door that goes into the restroom, and I'm painting the door, and the door is
Okay.
currently off the hinges. So there's no door on the other side. So while I was muted, I had Jameson, my 1 year old, screaming at my feet, and then Landon, I think, was yelling at him, and then so there was a big commotion that, if you see me kind of look down that or hear anything like clash bang boom, don't be alarmed, nothing's happening. Like that's my situation. So um, but I digress. So to the point, I think it's a big deal because they I have as girls look up, they look for people that look like them, right? And I'll confess as a white American, okay, like the majority coming up through as a child. I remember it was a big deal when they started getting more inclusive with dolls and even action figures and things like that. So this is a really cool thing for young Arabic girls who are, or excuse me, Muslim girls who want to compete in jiu-jitsu, and now they have some role models that kind of look like them and say, hey, one person has kind of blazed the trail a little bit. You can do it as well. And then I think, since I know a little bit more of the internal conversation, this will start conversations because it's a big deal even for a hijabi to train jujitsu, right? I mean, the fact that they even train jujitsu is a big deal for you guys. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, yeah, because like for someone who doesn't know anything about jujitsu, it looks like wrestling. So, like, why would girls wrestle? So it's obvious there is a significant difference in jujitsu versus wrestling. They're both like a grappling combat art. But yeah, like, for girls in general, it is not like it's not mainstream for females, but it's an art that's really good for self-defense. And jujitsu is that's why she started. Like, we have goals to produce world champions, and we've already produced a few of them. We've gotten a few gold medals and multiple silver medals and some bronze gold medalists out of Metro Jiu Jitsu. So we didn't know it was. I didn't know it was going to be my daughter. Like, it didn't matter to me if it's her. I just wanted her to start with to train jujitsu because of self defense. I wanted to make sure that she can emotionally, physically, and socially have strong posture and take care of herself around strangers, other people, and specifically her peers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a really cool thing, and we're excited to have that. So again, that's at 1 p.m. Eastern time coming up on Good Morning America, ABC, I believe is where they're showing that. So that'll be cool. Like you
Yeah, I
said,
just I just
barring
want
any
to add
breaking
that
news.
like I just want to add we've done a bunch of news interviews, and what's important for the just on this subject of Amina winning gold, the first hijabi to win a gold medal at a world championship level. If she was not there that day, the best in the world would not have been there. And you or I would never want to compete on a big stage against somebody who against a second class opponent. We want to know the best of the best is there. So when we win, we could say we beat the best. And, God knows how many years went by without the best of the best being there. We don't know how many hijabis trained, but, we were glad that she was able to compete
Mm.
and showcase that Amina Abdrabbo was the best in the world that day. Metro Jiu Jitsu had the best athlete in that division on that day.
And yeah, and that's a huge thing, and a lot of those news articles are on our website. If you go to metrojj.com, I think it's under media coverage of one of them. There's a lot of them. There's might be 6 or 7 different local ones, national ones as well. CBS, I think there was Fox coverage on
Yeah.
there. So cool. So we're moving on to Coach. Let's go to one of yours here. Let's I'm kind of with you on the New Year's resolutions things. I know we want to talk to him about it. We want to talk about New Year's resolutions. I you know, I know you and I both like we kind of like we just goal set year round.
Yeah.
So if the New Year's like it's just it's a I do we do reevaluate goals and at the new year, but we also do them like quarterly as well. Like we have our diamonds and things that we set. So let's talk about it though. I mean, let's talk about, and also if you guys are watching, do me a favor. Can you just comment? Make sure our audio is good. Every time we're using this new software, it's pretty powerful. I like it, but it does give us some glitches and hiccups at times. So let us know if you can see us, hear us, the whole nine. So and where you're watching. New Year's resolutions and fitness resolutions. That's the big one, right? Like I'm scared to even see what Planet Fitness looks like right now, like on or this Tuesday. What do you? How do you determine how to set your goals, and then how do you stick with them?
Well, first, let's start out with saying if your New Year's resolution was to work out and get in shape and become healthier, and you did not work out on January 1st, then that's a very bad sign. That's a very, very bad sign. One of the most important things you could do in any goal is when you set that goal, you take action as soon as possible. And as soon as you actually get up after writing down or typing or texting those goals inside your notes. So, it's very simple. Either are pregnant or you are not. So, there's no in between. And so
Ouch. I
as far
agree.
as the
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So, as far as the goals go, you have to physically make a decision by taking action. So that is the most important thing. And it's not too late if you didn't work out tomorrow, but you have to take action immediately, whether it be a 5-minute walk when you're on your break, getting to the gym and starting that program. There is no in between and there is no tomorrow. Just like Mickey told Rocky, or Rocky told somebody, there is no tomorrow.
While we were, I love this software because I can actually go out of it, do a quick Google search, and pull up some screenshots. I knew the number was low. I didn't know it was this low. Research suggests only 9% of Americans that make resolutions complete them. In fact, goes on to show that 23% quit their resolution by the end of the first week, and 43% quit by the end of January. Yo, that's tough, dude. Like that's incredible. So 91, I believe 91% fail across the year, but that 23% don't even make it past the first week. That's what type of resolutions are you set? Like that, what does that indicate to you, coach? Because that indicates to me one of two things, right? We see obviously we see people quit jujitsu regularly, and some of them have like legitimate reasons, and others they're just they it's difficult, right? And what we talk about a lot in jujitsu specifically is you need a damn good reason to train. You really do, because it's very it's straining on every level. It's emotionally straining. It's physically straining. There's a financial investment to it. I mean, it's not. We've been going to throughout the winter break. We've been going to a couple of these like kids parks, and they have membership models, and they're like $10 or $15 a month for a membership or whatever. But it's just like open gym, go run. It's like you're paying for a park, effectively,
Yeah.
the privilege to go play at a park, which is crazy. Michigan winners though. There's not a good enough reason though, and then there's a time investment as well. So it takes time, mental strength, physical strength, and finances. Like that's any one of those would be enough to keep people from sticking with something. So that's why you need a really really good reason, and that tells me people who make these resolutions and quit them first week. What are you what are you doing that you can't even stick with for a week? Like it's either so unrealistic and out of bounds, or it just really wasn't important enough to you. And that's, I mean, you know me, like I don't, dude, if I'm gonna say we're gonna do something, like I'm gonna do it type thing. I would hate to be the guy like to put out publicly like I'm gonna do X and then quit first week. That would just, I'd have egg on my face. I feel like. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that at this point we're in the new year. We have started, and if you did not already, it's very important to write down your goals and kind of map them out. And write down your goals and make sure you have the time. Make sure they're realistic goals. We're talking about health and fitness goals, and make sure you have the time and the resources.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things that causes people not to stay on track from pursuing their health and fitness goals is it is a disruption in your day to day activities.
100%.
Yeah, so it's a big disruption, and when you're starting a new program, you have to factor in at my normal schedule from getting up to work. If you're incorporating some, now you're going to have a breakfast or a shake. There's going to be all kinds of. You're going on a detour, like this is the land. You're going to a place you haven't been before, and you have to be ready for disruptions and interruptions to your work, your personal time, your family time, your leisure time. So if you don't factor some of that stuff in and make these things very achievable, it's very likely that you are not going to be able to stick with them.
That is, I think that's really sound advice, especially considering, like you said, you have to kind of plan for them. Amanda got me a really cool planner actually, and it's a lot of, after looking at it, it's got a lot of psychology backed kind of questions to it, and one of them in there is she got last year. Okay. What are some hurdles or objections you expect to encounter, and how do you plan to overcome them? So it's not enough to just say I'm going to do this. Like, all right, what are we going to encounter here? If you're gonna build a building, prudent men consider the cost of doing so. What's that look like? What's the timeline? What's the whole nine? Like you kind of like see that trail through. And what would you say to, how do you know? Because we talked about having a good reason. How do you know if something is a goal that's worth setting? How do you evaluate? Another one of them on there is I like a lot. You'd like this too. It talks about like your ideas, like, okay, you have an idea, and it's got like a literal idea page, and then it has a rating of the idea. So like you get to rate, like I'm gonna write down 10 ideas. I know like for every 10 ideas I got, guaranteed 5 right away are just garbage. Guaranteed. Like
Yeah,
it's a guarantee.
yeah, that's so
Half, like it's
that's
it's a
so true.
guarantee, right? And
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
has
that's
you
so true.
rate them like, okay, like how good is this actual idea? And then so how do you rate your goals? Like how do you know how do you rate if it's a goal worth even setting that takes the resources? You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Hey, look, if you shoot for the stars and you hit the moon, you're doing good. So, um, the important thing is that we start doing something and we're changing our patterns. We're changing our day to day activities. We really have to rewire our conscious and subconscious mind on what exercise and fitness means to us. If we do not do that, then we're going to be stuck. So, like you could have very, very high goals and expectations and aspirations to get, the biggest thing you'll hear is, I want to get into the best shape of my life, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it definitely starts with having a conscious and subconscious awareness every single day, every single morning about and night about what it is that you want to about these goals, the health and fitness goals. We're going to try to stay in that area, and some of them will be, really unreasonable, and if they get you going, uh, that's, but for long term, they should definitely, like, you want, in my opinion, like the people that I work with, we want to make our goals so achievable that the we kind of prove ourselves wrong. Like our athletes and our students want to prove us wrong. We give them such little goals to and benchmarks to achieve, that's like, I could do that. And if you could write that on paper and just get to those small goals, then it becomes easier to build on top of each one of those.
Yeah, I think the key there is having it be achievable, and I
Yeah.
like let's dive into one for the example of I want to get in the best shape of my life. First off, that I mean that totally depends what you're training for, right? Like if I'm like you're training
Yeah.
for a triathlon is going to be quite a bit different than if you're training for the UFC, than if you're just training for a
Right.
six pack. If you're training for I remember
Exactly. That's
I
not specific.
yeah, I remember when I first got into jujitsu, I like it was the like, and don't get me wrong, there are like jacked, shredded, and ridiculously strong guys, but the strongest humans like that I've wrestled like don't have six packs. Like, I mean, they're solid. Don't get me wrong, but it's like the guys that are
Yeah.
shredded generally, like 85%
Yes.
of them, like they don't feel nearly as strong as like the dad. Like just some like I'm gonna use Chad. Like Chad is just one of the strongest. It takes two of my one grips to break his. Like, and I've got like I can usually break grips. Like if he gets a hold of anything, you're not getting it back. Like at sometimes I even need to like drive my knee into his wrist just to get his strongest human. He's lost a lot of weight. I think he's down like 60 pounds or something. So he looks great. But he's not, he doesn't have that cosmetic Adonis chiseled inverted pyramid, figure, right? So best shape of your life. I remember you and I talking. This was years ago, and and we were talking about. I was like, yeah, I really want a six pack, and I was at the time like I was lean to begin with, and you're like, yeah. And when someone like you tells me they want to lose weight, like I have a deeper question, like that. Really, why do you want to lose weight, right? So it's the digger deeper why, right? Like the seven layers of why. I want a six pack. Why, all the way down. And then you kind of really get to the root of the problem, and you can boil that down, and that's a process. And these are things that, I mean, it can feel it is work. I mean, just the goal setting alone is work. I mean, it can feel like but that's worth taking the time on the front end so that you don't end up like those 24% of people who don't even follow through 1 week later, and roughly half don't even follow through a month later. So really seeing why you're doing that.
Yeah. Um, so, uh, people want to lose weight and get in shape right after health. They want more confidence, and um, you know, Chad, I don't think has a six pack, but he's a confident dude. And as you train and you exercise, and specifically Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you get confidence and mental toughness because you're learning a specific skill. As you start a job and you first walk on site, it's very similar to walking into a gym. it's very similar to walking into a gym for the first time. Uh, the camera's down. Yeah, as you walk into a gym for the first time, Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, Metro Jiu Jitsu, it's brand new. And as you learn how to do that specific skill, yes, your body will change. Yes, you will look better. You will physically, like your probably inflammation will start to go away. You're going to get more energy. But a lot of the confidence comes from learning skill, like learning application on how to do that specific job. So, uh, so that's where a lot of the confidence comes from. It's not just the physical what you look like, but it's also where um, you're learning something specific.
Yeah, and that goes in, that plays well into the next line in our next topic that we're talking about was skill sets. Like I texted, we were texting about the topics last night, and we are just, it has never been more important to develop a skill set, right? And to develop
Yeah.
one, and it can be jujitsu, it could be communication, it could be trades, it can be manual trades, it could be IT, it could be coding, it could be a lot of those, right? But the cost for a skill set is you're paying now into three digits per hour. Is it like an hourly rate average, right? 3 to 4 digits per hour, depending on the skill set, right? Like I know my one of my family members, he works on CNC machines, and he's young. He's like early 20s, or I think he installs them. He's something with it, but it's an industry that no young guys want to get in. He's young, and I think his billable rate's like over 1,000 an hour is what they bill him out at, right? And so when he goes like, and he's on job sites for like 5 6 days, 10-hour days at a time, so like that's the skill set of it. And it's really easy to, I'm thinking of things like on Downriver and Friends, I see a lot of people asking, and they're asking for help, and I get that. But some of these, I mean, in the information age, it is so. Coach, I just saw we might, if we die on this stream, we're gonna come back. So just stick with us. In the
We
information
got
age,
9 lives.
I
We
know.
got 9 lives.
Yeah, I know. If in the information age, it's so easy to look stuff up and just take a chance at it. Develop a skill, and that's how you try something, right? The first step to getting really good at something or good at something is you suck at it. Like period. Like it's the first time of anything, and we want to avoid that, like, of going in there and actually testing or trying something new, because if I never try anything new, then I'm not bad at it. And if I'm not bad at it, then I feel good about it. Like I'm okay because I didn't really suck at it. But that's I mean that's important. The developing whatever skill you choose to pursue. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. And if you go to college for like 4 years and you go to get a job, you're not going to have confidence doing that job because they didn't really prepare you for that job description. If you go to get a master's degree, you got a bachelor's. Let's say you get a master's in business or environmental health or medical. You don't get the confidence to do that job because you're learning information, but you're not learning how to do that job. And but you still have to do that job. You have a little bit of base and fundamental understanding of the industry that you're getting into, but in order to get the confidence, you have to learn the skill, and the skill is hands-on. Exercise and fitness is hands-on, and you cannot get the confidence and the results you want until you actually put your hands on the weight and you get your hands dirty. There's no way around it. I see what's really cool to me is uh, there's not a day that goes by that I'm at the gym where I see somebody that's obese, like really, really obese. So, hopefully I stay healthy enough. I'm a lifer. So I'll be in and out of the gym, whether it be the one that I'm at, the next one, or the next one. I've been doing it for over 30 years. I was working out at Raise the Bar the other day, and I was telling my son who went with me, I said, I actually worked out in this gym when it was a powerhouse, and it was I believe it was one of the first ones in the entire country. So that's going back 30 years. So my average is about 2 to 3 times a week over 30 years of exercising. And over the time, that lifespan of exercising, I've gotten more and more confident because I'm learning more and more skills.
Mm.
And that type of consistency is guaranteed to give me or anybody results. If you work out 3 days a week for 30 years, like you just think about, do the math. If you do anything, make any smart decisions outside of the gym, your body eventually is going to say, okay, you're not going to let me stick to the status quo. You're forcing me to make some changes, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think that's by the way, that was that powerhouse was my, let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. That was, yeah, that was my first gym membership on Fort Street. Was my first gym membership. The now Raise the
Okay.
Bar, and yeah, and that was,
Okay.
yeah, that was yeah, that was, I'm thinking, but they had a shared membership, I believe, like the one on Telegraph. I could train at that one too over in Dearborn
Yeah.
Heights. But and that is, again, going back to why are you doing something, that plays into the consistency of it. It's never. I mean,
Yeah.
when people start training jujitsu, we tell them right off the rip, we're like, yeah, let's start 2 days a week, and of course, inevitably, you get these like 20-year-olds. They're like, oh, I'm an all or nothing guy. I'm like, if you, yeah, okay, I've seen this one, right? Like, you're gonna come in here, you're gonna go hard for a month, and you're gonna get destroyed every single time, and you're gonna like go home and watch some type of like movie where like if they just think real hard and they make a comeback, but that's not how jujitsu works at the
Yeah.
beginning, right? Like it's not how it works. You're not gonna get lucky. You're not gonna be able to power your way through to victory or submission. You are far better. I mean, do the math, right? Case in point, 5 days a week, 6 days a week for 4 weeks. It's 24 classes. Okay. And then 2 days a week for 10 years. It's a lot more classes, right? It's like 1,000. Hang on, like 52
Yeah.
weeks, 100. Yeah, it's 1,000 classes, right? So, um, totally different number. And so I understand the concept of it, of wanting to go harder, but it's just not sustainable, right? And that's always something to look forward to. Look at is the sustainability of it. So I want to go into this guy messaged us on TikTok. I want to share his before we lose this vibe. This is Mr. Vinny Winnie. Says, question about jiu-jitsu. He's in Australia, by the way. He says, I've been meaning to start jiu-jitsu, and I'm nervous. I see videos talking about how people coming in for a trial lesson get destroyed and pretty badly hurt. Do you have any feedback or support for me to not? I didn't see that last one. So I message him, and I'll give my answer, and then Coach, I want to hear your answer. Um, it totally depends on the academy. I mean, there are I will say, like, I'm not sure where he's seeing those. I mean, if he's on TikTok, I'm gonna guess he's maybe a little bit younger, and he's maybe seeing more of the negative side of it. Most gyms, 80% plus, they're going to be super welcoming, super friendly. They don't want you to get hurt. One, because they don't want a lawsuit. Even if you sign a waiver, it could still be a lawsuit, as we've seen. But two, they want you to join the team, right? They want to get you added on, so it doesn't help anybody to destroy the trial guy. So what I added him, I said it depends on the gym, and fine. I said go in and just watch. Just go in and watch and see how they treat their people, see how they talk to you, see how they run classes. Just watch one. We have people do that all the time. What's your take on that?
I think that's good advice. Uh, it's when you walk inside of a jujitsu gym, uh, it's really a distraction because you're distracted by a large group of people on the mats. You're distracted by whatever the design and layout of the gym is. You're just probably distracted by pictures, and this happens in competition also. This happens in a normal gym. Like, you when you walk into a normal weightlifting gym, that first look is meant to sell you, but it's really a distraction because that's not really what you're buying, and that's not really what is happening there. What happens there is you're learning a skill, a physical skill, and you're learning to exercise. You're learning how to get in shape, and you're learning to be confident. But everything else you see inside the gym and online is online is like a whole nother thing. It's like it's not, yeah, it's
It's the metaverse online.
it's
It's
the
just
metaverse.
it's a virtual reality.
Yeah, so it's really, in short, it's really a distraction on what it is that jujitsu is, you know. But if you peel all of that away, if you peel everything away, the really amazing thing about jujitsu is you're talking about mats and people to teach you what to do on the mat. It's that simple. So everything else is a distraction, and if you know nothing about grappling, nothing about jujitsu, then you have less bad habits to break. So that's a good thing. So I would advise you to kind of, walk in and look at it like that, and just kind of move everything away other than what the jujitsu is, and take a class. If not, just sit in and watch a couple times.
Yeah, that's so am I muted? No, I'm good. All right. So like with this software it's like draining my like I had like 70% battery and I'm plugged in, right? And it's like draining it fast. So like we've been playing back and forth between 5 and 6%. But we're still here kicking. I'm kind of surprised at it. That's great advice though, is because yeah, I mean listen, okay. We put a lot of time, money, and energy into designing our academy. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we want it to present well. We want it to look good and we want it to be clean. We want it to like, cause I mean, parents, this is what we believe. Mothers and parents buy with their noses, right? So if it doesn't smell clean, if you walk in and it smells like sweaty leather, that might attract a certain type, but like Amanda's not gonna want to sign Scarlett up to something like that. So like I get it, like that plays a part, but at at the end of the day, what you're selling is the service, and does the service deliver? And I'll also add, it's not just the jujitsu though. It's not just the jujitsu, because uh, because if it's just the jujitsu, then the methodology doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is their accolades on competition level, and that's not the only thing that matters. It's not that those don't matter. I said it's not the only thing that matters, and like especially with kids. I mean, our core focus at Metro is to teach people how to play and win at the game of life. We do that through jujitsu, and so building that discipline and the methodology. It's not just what you're teaching them; it's how you're teaching them in the process. And so how you talk to them, how you communicate with them, which this is going to lead in nicely to my thoughts here on Mr. Tom DeBlas. Coach, did you see? I didn't. Did you see? You saw this post, right, from Tom?
um, I'm not sure. You were
So
telling me about it. Yeah.
yeah. So okay. So Tom DeBlas, he's a big name in jiu-jitsu. I like Tom. I really do. He's polarizing, but I think that's kind of his brand. He says, recently I had a student leave my academy. He moved here a few months ago and was a fan of mine for a while before that. All right, so pause. So the quit rate in jiu-jitsu, it's like our number one job to keep people, to make things that lower the barrier of entry, to keep people training as long as possible. And it hurts whether you've been training 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or 6 months. It hurts to lose a member because you, as coaches, jiu-jitsu coaches, we put everything we have into it. He says, I've been open 18 years this month. And one thing I learned is when you invest in a student, then they stop training, it shreds your heart apart. Therefore, I have a rule. Until you're training at my academy for at least 6 months or so, I don't go out of my way to get to know you. I'm always friendly. And if someone approaches me, I talk and answer any questions. However, I don't go out of my way to get to know people. I deal with thousands of people. To say I'm busy is an understatement. Selfless plug. My heart hurts that someone left because they felt slighted by me. So I wish they simply had a conversation with me. I beg all of you to communicate with me before you write me off. If you aren't close enough to me to speak personally, I understand. Maybe send me a DM. So okay, so the way that this individual, I didn't read that final detail. So it sounds like he wanted like direct access to time, and Tom DeBlas is like, I mean, he's how would you give me like a muggle equivalent of Tom DeBlas, like a modern day, like a other celebrity equivalent. He's like a he's probably
Dan
a,
Marino.
in jiu-jitsu. Is Dan Marino still relevant?
Well, he's I don't know if Tom will be a Hall of Fame person, but Dan Marino played for many years, Hall of Fame quarterback, but never won a Super Bowl. And I think Tom won a couple IBJJF world titles, but never won an ADCC title. So
Tom,
Dan Marino.
Tom is still Tom is still very actively coaching and engaged in the community. Is Dan Marino like coaching anything?
I don't think Dan is coaching. No,
I only know Dan Marino from Ace Ventura, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you at all. Like I've only ever seen.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't know who Ace Ventura is?
I know. What's his name? Jim. What's the actor's name who plays
Jim
that?
Carrey? Well, yeah, Jim
I
Carrey.
know.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, you've never seen Ace Ventura? Oh man, we got it.
I
We're
have.
snagging this clip and making a reel out of it. So Tom DeBlas is basically the Dan Marino of jiu-jitsu, and I'll tag him and make the make the reel of it. So okay, so here's the deal. First off, I do agree with Professor Tom. I don't like that. Professor DeBlas, we'll call him. He yeah, I mean, if a guy's gonna leave over something petty, he was gonna leave regardless. I mean, really, like if he's like, oh, Tom didn't like you didn't spend extra time with the that. I agree. Should have had a conversation with him, okay? Because coaches are human, and like we got other stresses going on, and if we got beef or something, if you think we have beef, like look,
Yeah.
first off, if you got beef with me, you will know it, and if you have beef with Coach Muhammad, you will know it, right? A lot of times, if there's something else on our mind, and maybe we don't say something, like again, come talk to us. But what I do disagree here with Professor DeBlas, this is the equivalent of a girl broke my heart. I'm never going to seek love again. I'm just going to hook up with randos. Like that's kind of the mentality of it. Or I'll show you respect when you show me respect. But if everyone's waiting to show respect, no one's getting respect, right? So we go out of our way, especially in the first 6 months. I mean, that is like the malleable period, right? Like if they can make it really the first year, if they can make it past that, okay, they can make it past that, and like they train for a year and a half, and they get a blue belt. Okay, we did that's good, but now we got to keep them from quitting at blue belt and getting the blue belt virus, right? So like it's I don't. I just think I think that's nearsighted. I do. I get it. Like he's got more things going on than just his academy. But the excuse of I know thousands of people, I deal with thousands of people. I think the rule is like at any given time, one person can only pull to mind 50 names. Like if you have to sit down and write them. So I think that's an excuse, and I don't support that. I think that's a little bit of a miss. No disrespect to Professor DeBlas. I just think it's a little bit of a miss, and I would challenge that mindset of because if you say, "Oh, I don't get to know you until 6 months," I wonder what his quit rate looks like for people under 6 months. I'm just curious. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, on one side, I would say that if you start jujitsu, it's very probable, or you start your New Year's resolutions, if and when you quit, that it was just about to happen. Whether you set a New Year's resolution, you set a goal, or you told somebody, you know what, I'm going to do A, B, and C. I'm going to be the next world champion. I'm going to compete in this tournament. And then you didn't. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. You don't make it 2 days a week. If you didn't do it, then it was just about to happen. It was just a matter of time. And on the second point is, jujitsu instructors and coaches, jujitsu instructors, most of them would do it for free. I would argue that any coach who's successful is in the business for the money, because as you're starting as a coach on any level, you're struggling. The Detroit
Is
Lions,
any coach who's successful is you said is in the business for the money or is not in the business for the money?
any coach who is successful did not start coaching for the money, because if you take the Jets head coach Robert Saleh, I believe he played football at Fortson High School. He's an NFL football coach. He is an NFL football coach,
He played at
and no,
Fordson. The NFL, the Jets football coach played at Fordson.
yes,
Wow,
Jets or Giants, yeah.
that's a
So
big deal.
that's a very big deal. And Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Fame quarterback, is moved over and is playing with him. But the point of the story is that Robert Saleh, a coach, started out coaching high school, and he was basically carrying water bottles in college to help the coaches. And he just hung around, and he spent many years of his life making little to no money to work his way up, because he had a passion for coaching. And his hard work, his perseverance worked his way up to being a linebacker coach, defensive coach in the NFL, and now he's a head coach in the NFL Football League. And he did not go through all that for a payday. I'm sure he's making millions of dollars a year right now, but coaches coach because they love the job.
Yeah.
And I would say that students who start jujitsu, you have to understand that, and to be more successful and get the most out of your coach, you genuinely have to dial into what you signed up for, and that way you can have intelligent conversations, as basic as they are, with your coach.
Yeah.
Your coach doesn't want to hear that did you see this movie that tonight or that movie. Your coach is there to coach. And if you go to train, you go to work out, and you go to exercise, it becomes a more intelligent conversation, even for a beginner, on how to get the most out of your coach. And so, in my opinion, the burden, having many students, the burden is on the student, because you signed up for something. I'm going to get you there. I have a system created in my gym, in my academy, with my coaches. You just have to show up, and you're going to funnel your way not only up to me, but you're going to funnel your way into resculpting your body, getting in shape, feeling better. But it all starts with you. And if you do train, you're going to know how to talk to a coach and not miss him.
Yeah, so I think that I read the further point, the guy quit because at Tom's gym because I guess for whatever reason he felt slighted. Yeah, that's petty, and I agree. He was on his way out. You just
Yeah.
look for a reason. I mean, we've had people quit like that. Coach David is. We've had people quit. We've had people quit because of my personal brand and me like giving like my opinions on marriage advice to men. They're like, oh yeah, I don't. I'm like, how can someone be against that? Like you're like against like marriage. I don't understand. And then we've also had people, like it's funny. They'll message you about me and me about you. Like they'll be like, hey, Coach Mo, yo, we gotta talk to David, man. You got like I'll be like, yo, Fox, we gotta talk about Mo. Like I'm like. Talk. Yeah, like he's on Messenger just like I am, dude. Like go talk.
Yeah.
Like go talk to him. You know.
That's so funny. That's so
It's
funny,
yeah. So,
bro.
uh,
Bro, we are coaches, and if you're watching, we're coaches. Our job is to coach you. Our job is to teach you skills. Skills give you confidence. What I eat, what David eats, or how David runs his house or his lawn has nothing to do with. We have the skills and the proven track record to
yeah.
teach you how to fight, defend yourself, and get in shape.
I will add this. So I will add this though, right? It goes back to the point. I understand people. They're gonna train under who they feel comfortable with, and it helps if they can align
That's
with.
okay. That's fine.
Yeah. They can align with them, right? But if you're like, I mean,
Yeah.
think about. We talked about I'll save this topic actually for a different podcast because that's a much bigger. Like I'm gonna pull some. I'm thinking of several Facebook groups and posts I've seen in Facebook groups. We'll make a separate podcast about it. I do want to add. So talking about self-defense scenario, we covered some live footage last week, And then it looks maybe 2 weeks ago, a week or two ago, we got a message from the Border Patrol.
Oh,
Yeah, or an email from them, and he emailed us. The FBI is now involved in this case. This is you
oh,
know what's like so funny to me is you watch television and they're like the FBI, and then like they pull up all these high tech like finger forensic analysis and fingerprinting and drone, and like they have all this high tech stuff. And in the actual world, this is what we get. They're like, hey, have you seen this dude? I'm like, yeah, what, Bigfoot? Like I haven't seen, I haven't seen this guy. But what happened was this guy was laying hands on his girl. Border Patrol gets involved, and this what do they call them, assailants, but they what do they call it, criminals that aren't actually convicted yet, like
perpetrator.
yeah, perpetrate something else. The anyway, he attacks the Border Patrol dude and gets him in a mounted Greco-Roman takedown. So it sounded like a body lock, like suplex takedown. I don't know if it was a suplex, but body lock takedown, and mounted triangle the guy. And so mounted triangle, I mean, that's not my go-to in the street. I will say that. Like, and I'd like to rate my mounted triangle as like a 5 out of 10. 6 out of 10. It's not that it's horrific. It's just that I'm not going to go for it, right? Like it's on the street. I'm going to go for something that's like my A+ move. So he mounted triangle as the Border Patrol agent, and yeah, and he's like, "Hey, have you seen this guy?" So we'll put this out there, I guess.
Was this local?
Yeah, this was like an e-course.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
oh,
So this was
that's why
local.
they're asking us.
Yeah, that's why they're asking. And the guy who was, I'm gonna pull it up while you're. So, first off, have you seen him?
I gotta
Secondly,
see his face.
yeah, right. I mean, and he looks husky. Like, I mean, like that. I'm trying to. Like that doesn't look like a guy who's gonna do a mounted triangle. You know what I mean? Like that looks like a guy who's just gonna get top mount and lay into you. But what are your thoughts on a mounted triangle and then the situation at large? I'm gonna pull up the email while
Uh,
you do that.
yeah. Well,
Mounted.
don't get there.
Yeah, dude. Arguably one of the worst self-defense positions you could be in, because it's
Yeah,
all of the bad things of mount, but no real answer. Like there's really no way out of that.
yeah. I mean, if you get yourself in the street and somebody has a mounted triangle on you, it would be very fair to say that your level is way above that person, or they just don't know any jujitsu.
Yeah.
And so I would assume that the law enforcement officer, the border uh, control person, did not know any Brazilian jiu-jitsu. We should reach out to him and see if we can help him out.
Yeah.
And
So
let him,
I did reach out to him. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, but yeah, like that's a bad position to be in. Like one of your arms is choking you, and the other one can't defend any punches. So you're essentially your face is exposed. You can get elbowed, you can get punched or whatever. And so I would. That's a tough,
That's a tough
ugly.
spot. Yeah, dude, it's a
It's a
tough
finishing
spot.
position, like that.
And I'm gonna show, like, I'm gonna pull up a let's see. I gotta find one where you can actually see what's going on. Yeah, we'll do this one. Yeah, we'll use this one. So for those who don't know what a mounted triangle is, okay, I'm gonna show you a picture right now, and this is what this guy got. Let's see if it works.
Do we have a picture of the guy's face who was in the
No,
mountain
no,
triangle?
this is literally the best photo that I could get. Like the
Oh,
best
well,
photo.
how are we supposed to recognize a person without his face?
He admitted. I don't think it was it wasn't like theirs. It was because it sounded like the guy was off duty. Is what happened. So it sounded like the
Uh,
guy was off duty. Yeah. So he's off duty. Oh, I can't get it. That's sad. You know what? Here, I can actually do. What's the screen share? Yeah, it's not gonna work out great. Yeah. What's this? Here we go. So you can screen share. I love this software. All right, so this is the mounted triangle, and we're gonna pull this up. So you can see we've got my man here. Like, let's just go in on one. Like this is the mounted triangle right over here. Okay, so fully like you're on top of him. He's got one arm trapped in. He's simultaneously getting choked. While also like if he chose, I mean obviously you can just lay a barrage of attacks into my man here the whole way around. And just to remind everybody, it was this guy who got that mounted triangle. Just doesn't look like the type, honestly. And also, someone mentioned super baggy jeans. He's shirtless. I don't know, but if you guys know this, if you know who it might be, give us information. We'll help get him caught. I did reach out to Border Patrol, and then offered free training, of course, to their officers and 20 of their officers if they should to prevent this happening again. But this goes back to it's the resources, but it's time. It's humility. It's coming in and realizing you're gonna have to suck at this for a little bit. And I mean, we've done promos like this for law enforcement, for like all the time we do it, and they don't show. I mean, the ones who are gonna do it, a person of interest. David Duncan says person of interest. Yeah, I guess that would be person of interest is what they're called. So, but that's it. I mean, that's it for 2024. If you guys know that guy, let us know. We'll see if we can track him down. If you work for the Border Patrol or know anyone who does, we're giving out up to 20 memberships for them to train for free, so that this doesn't happen again. And Coach, what else we got going on?
To be announced. We haven't done our schedule yet, but 2024 is it's not going to be any different. We have our foot on the gas at Metro Jiu Jitsu. You know, if you have your,
quite a different. It's going to be way different in terms of 20 here. And a coach, I know I cut you off, and there's a lag, and I apologize for that.
okay.
24 will be slightly different, in my opinion, because it will be this is how things happen. In my belief, it will be the result of 3 or 4 or 5 years of work. And it's going to seem like a lot's happening at once, but you've been working on them consistently for 4 or 5 years together. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to put it because you see someone like whoa, how did this guy get into shape? Or like, oh my God, you're doing so good. Or you see people move up in their career. Like, who were we watching the other day? I forget who it was. Maybe I was watching a documentary, but people just don't like, where did he come from? We've been working hard for 5 years, and if and when you see something pops up, we work on the clock, off the clock, nights, weekends, and that is the reason why you'll see some of the things in 2024 come up.
A good example locally in the jiu-jitsu community is Brandon McCaffrey. We've known BMAC for 5 years.
Yeah.
Literally, like since he was doing like stuff like this. Like I remember when he was playing around with his YouTube channel. He's currently commentating with George St. Pierre at the ADCC. Another, the concept of overnight success is just a myth.
It's bullshit.
It's a myth. I mean, Dave Ramsey calls it the Oprah effect. You end up on Oprah and it seems like an overnight success. It's like, we've been working at this for 15, 20 years. Like, what are you talking about? Overnight success. So, isn't that a rap line? Overnight success. Yeah, it took 12 years to be an overnight success. I feel like that's a rap line. But Coach, we're going to go ahead. Guys, if you have been watching this, first off, thank you along. Please, wherever you're watching this, we've got our socials here. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We also have our Southgate headquarters. We're still offering jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. And just like my man from Australia, if you're looking for a gym near you, I actually did. I did some research for him found one. I said, hey, according to Google, this would be one to check out. Go watch a class. We'll help you find a gym wherever you're training. To get that goal rocking. We have Canton. Our Canton location is coming up, Canton Westland area. So if you want to, pre-reg is still happening there. Taking a little bit longer than desired, but again, like it's just consistent effort day in, day out. And then also we're doing, you're going to be seeing more about our summer programs, K through 6. So if you're like, hey, listen, I want my kid to try jiu-jitsu. They could try it out during the summer. We're going to have locations all over the metro area this coming summer, 5 of them. So you got Monroe, Canton, Livonia, Brighton, and Monroe, Canton, Livonia, Brighton, and Southgate. So that's all we got from us. Coach, you got anything before we sign off?
No, 2024 is here. You got any fitness or any kind of goals that you want to tackle? Don't be shy, multiply. Visit www.metrojj.com or call the number.
All
We
right, you
got you
guys. Appreciate you, Coach. As always, we will see you guys on the
on the
mats.
mat.